Hi, this is Ms. McKenzie, your teacher librarian here at South, and this mini lesson for freshmen is all about digital citizenship. So by the end of this lesson, students should be able to define digital citizenship, and they will practice being good digital citizens by creating a 1-minute goal-setting video via Flipgrid. So all students will need a Chromebook to complete that Flipgrid video at the end. And teachers, you can pause this video periodically to have some brief discussions about some of the questions in the slides. So as a warm-up, I would begin by asking students, what does it mean to be a good citizen? Just in general, what are some examples of being a good citizen? So you can pause and pair share, have that discussion, and when you're ready, you can move on to the next slide. So you just discussed what it means to be a good citizen. So when we're talking about the term digital citizenship, there are a lot of similarities to that. And ISTE breaks down the term digital citizenship into these three specific components: the digital self, the digital interactor, and the digital agent or leader. So when we are talking about the digital self, we're talking about protecting your privacy online. We're also talking about protecting other people's privacy online and being respectful of other people when we're posting things, for example, on their social media accounts. Okay, when we're talking about the digital interactor, that's all about communicating with kindness and empathy and in a professional manner when you're in digital environments. And this piece is also concerned with harnessing the powers of technology to interact in ways that weren't possible before we had that technology. So for example, you would be a good digital interactor if let's say you use Google Hangouts with your class and another class across the country to have a conversation. Let's say you're in social studies and you're studying an important concept and you want to get a more global perspective of what that concept means to other people. You could Google Hangout with a class across the country, and that would be an example of being a good digital interactor and harnessing the powers of technology. Then we move on into this third component. This is my favorite. It's referred to as the digital agent or being a good digital leader. So again, it's all about leveraging or harnessing the power of technology to solve social problems. It's really using technology for good. So for example, you could use technology to make your school a better place. You could use technology to spread a kind message and make your community a better place. So all three of these components are a part of digital citizenship. And we're going to talk briefly about each one of these components before we get to your Flipgrid video. So the first component is the digital self, and that's the piece that's all about protecting your privacy and the privacy of others online. And I really like this picture that talks about your digital tattoo. And really, you just want to be very mindful of everything that you post online. And I used to tell my students that if you don't want your granny or a loved one or family member or someone that you really respect, if you wouldn't want them to see your post, then you shouldn't be posting it online. Okay, so just remember that once you post something online, it lives forever. You may think that you're deleting a photo off of your social media account, but there are sophisticated technologies and software that can retrieve everything that you post online, and this comes into play, and we'll talk about this in just a little bit, but this definitely comes into play nowadays when you're trying to apply for a job or trying to get into college and submitting college applications. Employers and colleges are now looking at your social media accounts to decide whether they want to admit you or hire you or not. Okay, so I also tell students that it would probably be a good idea to go home tonight and proofread your social media accounts. And if there's anything remotely questionable or unprofessional on your social media accounts, and that includes pictures as well as posts that you've made or comments that you've made on other people's posts, it would be a good idea to delete those right now. Okay? So next we're going to watch just a very brief video, and this is Abbas, and he's talking about his Facebook presence and how he's actually proud of his Facebook presence. So we're going to play this brief video, and teachers, once we play the video, you can discuss these 3 questions down here. So what are some of the messages that stood out in the video? Can you relate to Abbas? Number 2 is Abbas says he thinks colleges would actually kind of like his Facebook page. So what are some examples that he gives, or examples of how he feels he has a positive digital footprint? And then the 3rd question is, do you think you should judge someone based solely on what you find about them online? Why or why not? So let's check out this video. All right, so that was a great brief video, just talking about being mindful about your social media accounts. So teachers, like I said, you can pause this video and have that discussion with your students concerning those 3 questions. All right, so we just discussed what it means to protect our digital privacy, our digital selves. So now we're moving into what it means to be a good digital interactor. And the picture that you see right here is a screenshot from last year. This is Mrs. Tisha Richmond. She was formerly a culinary arts teacher here at South, and she was also named our Golden Pear Teacher of the Year last year. And she now works at the district office as a tech integration specialist. And she is an example of a model digital interactor. She, in person, is a kind, empathetic, amazing human being, and she's the exact same way online. She uses her time online to share resources with teachers, to give shout outs to students and teachers, to highlight student work. She's constantly connecting with other educators across the country, and connecting via Twitter and via Google Hangout. She's just doing everything right in terms of being a good digital interactor. Okay, and this next slide about being a good digital interactor, there's a brief activity that teachers you can do in your class if you have time. But really, we're kind of driving the point home here on this slide that colleges are looking at your social media accounts. Okay, employers are looking at your social media accounts before they're deciding whether to hire you or not. So what you see here are two students who are wonderful young men. They're both applying to college. And the scenario is that a college admissions officer can only admit one of these two guys. And on paper, per their application, their test scores, their grades, their GPA, they're both in the running for this one position. But now the college admissions officers are going to then make their decision based on what they see about these two individuals online. So the activity has students just looking at the different social media clips from each student and then making the decision of who they think is the better candidate based on what they're seeing in their social media accounts. And I would say there really isn't a right or a wrong answer. But you will definitely have some interesting discussions if you go through both students' social media profiles. Okay, so you can do that activity and pause. All right, so after you've kind of skimmed Marcus's social media accounts and Tommy's social media accounts or screenshots of their social media accounts, and you've discussed like who would you admit if you were the college admissions officer, next, we're going to move on to what it means to be a good digital agent or digital leader. And this is going to lead into your creation of a Flipgrid video. So this is always my favorite part of digital citizenship. And a famous teacher by the name of Jennifer Casa-Todd actually wrote a book called Social Media, or Using the Powers of Social Media for Good. And that's what this is all about. And I think our school, especially our student government and our leadership students here at South, they do an amazing job of harnessing technology for good. And I think of all the work that they do every year with our Sparrow, our school Sparrow, just creating the little documentary videos to highlight the Sparrow and what they need in terms of resources to enact change here on our campus to raise awareness and support for that Sparrow is a perfect example of being a good digital agent. Another example, I'm very fond of the Veterans History Project. It's sponsored by the Library of Congress, and it's getting people to interview and record and then archive the stories of our veterans across this country. And all of those stories are permanently cataloged for the end of time at the Library of Congress, and anyone can access those media files. So again, that's using the power of technology to make this world a better place. And here's another little example I just pulled off Twitter earlier. And it's just a class of students who are actually using Flipgrid to spread kindness. They had like a kindness awareness campaign on campus. They use Flipgrid to record videos, and then those videos can then be shared to demonstrate what kindness looks like at their school. So we have access to forms of technology that didn't exist even 5 years ago, and technology can make this world a better place. So that moves into your assignment, and your assignment is to create a 1-minute video on Flipgrid. The link is on the Google Classroom. And you all have made it through 3/4 of your freshman career here at South. We're end of the third quarter is right around the corner. So moving into your 4th and final quarter as a freshman here at South Medford High School, I want you all to do a little goal setting, but you're going to think of yourselves as being good digital citizens and good digital leaders by how you do your video. So you want to be very professional, you want to be upbeat, you want to be, kind in what you're saying and respectful. And so you're going to create a quick video, and you're just going to include your first and last name. I want you to state some accomplishments from this year that you're proud of, and then just finish up by listing 3 goals that you have for fourth quarter to finish strong here at South. And I will look at every single one of these videos and assess them, and I'll pick the top 10 videos and I'll highlight them in the library, and freshman advisory classes can share them as well. And please swing by if you have any questions about digital citizenship.